I think this time, really, we just start it. You know what I mean? I think having the preamble, I know we like to do it, but you know, we're recording
we don't always have to.
kind of some episodes back to back, and it's hard to do that. I think just coming in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just worried my voice is going to crack. I feel like whenever I try to be the big starter, like when I jump into it.
Well, I don't like that you refer to it as that.
That's
Because that's also what you put in that Craigslist missed connections.
Yeah.
You're the big starter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I helped someone jumpstart their car,
Oh.
and
okay.
I was like, hey.
I thought it was more like an appetizer platter.
No.
The big starter.
No, I mean, I will say it's not qualified to be an entree.
It's not a full meal.
Yeah. I call myself the amuse-bouche,
The charcuterie of
the palate cleanser.
it's more of a Lunchables, I think.
You know, I bought 2 Lunchables for myself the other day. I love Lunchables.
Yeah, you got one for yourself and the other one to sort of shake outside of the car to see if any kids would come up, right?
Yeah.
Whoa! Is that the pizza one?
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Funbearable. I am Brad Rohr.
I am Ray, distancing myself from that Harrington.
And I am Chuck. That's what I did. Stay in.
Oh wow, this is going to be. We get to listen to this again in a courtroom. That's so cool.
Man, I did buy myself some Lunchables. Is that weird?
You know what, I got to say
No,
this.
it's not weird.
I love judges. I think judges are really smart and cool.
Why, are you gonna be in trouble?
would be. You would be.
Yeah,
That's
of
you at a Nuremberg trial.
I didn't. Yep.
I'm just following orders.
Yep.
Do. What's this? Do. Sub incoming. Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
What's that? Hastily put together bad characters. Oh, all right.
Oh no.
I have some fun for you boys.
Oh, good.
There's only 2 of them this time.
That's okay.
Not 3.
That's all right.
Not 3 because there were more, but they got elevated to some other things that will be happening down the road.
Yes.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, of course.
But it's time. It's been a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I thought it was time to revisit bad characters, which is for the viewer listener, things that I've jotted down in my phone that I thought were like fun concepts, but have nowhere to go. They're very, very thin, shallow little pools of water.
Yep.
They're fun to splash in.
Right.
But you can't go swimming.
You can't spend all day there.
No, and if you dive, you'll break your neck. You'll be a story.
Right.
Oh, God. When you were a kid, sidebar to my sidebar.
Okay.
When you were a kid, do you remember like vividly warning examples of people that dove into water and broke their necks, and then they would show somebody like in a wheelchair who's a quadriplegic, and the idea of it just like searing into your brain? Because that's what happened to me.
100%.
Yes, absolutely.
But it was for hot tubs. Because hot tubs.
What? Diving into a hot tub?
You've never seen that next to a hot tub?
I mean, I've seen no diving, but
Yeah.
I didn't see the.
I didn't see somebody like with a breathing tube being like, "This is what happened to me."
Oh,
Because if somebody said they were a quadriplegic because they dove into a hot tub,
We're like, yeah.
I'm so worried about saying this right now. But honestly, like, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
You made your quadriplegic bed.
I thought
and
it was
it's
40
time
feet
to
deep.
sleep in it.
Yes.
I thought it was 6 feet wide, 40 feet.
Yeah. I thought people were floating, not sitting. That's insane.
No, I didn't see. Okay.
Chuck in a hot tub, like, you know you're not supposed to dive in these, right?
I have the halo.
You have a bloody nose. Yeah. Can't turn your neck, so you're pivoting your whole body. Yeah, in the tub. It's clearly rusted because you've done this so much.
So I know what you're talking about. I didn't see the example.
Smash cut to being helicopter lifted out of the pool area.
No, it's the hot tub with my legs sticking up. And the thing goes down and
Yeah, he did it again.
cut to my funeral.
And then
I don't know why that's so fucking funny.
the casket slowly gets lowered, but it's into a hot tub.
No, they drop it head first into
This was his request.
This is what he wanted. Technically, this counts as a burial at sea.
It goes into the hot tub, then it cuts to my actual funeral, and the thing has the halo on it. Now the actual...
You turn on the jets at the side of the casket.
That was great.
Chuck will be human stew for eternity.
Oh, that was great. This is now these characters are really going to be a letdown now. So this character, not so timely, but viewer listener, let's pretend like this was recorded earlier.
Okay.
So this character. Haven't heard much of this person. You know, we've heard a lot about what happened, but not this person that was involved. This character is the guy that sold Diddy thousands of bottles of baby oil.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
Right? That's the character. You know, they found all these bottles of baby oil in P. Diddy's home when the world found out about the freak-offs.
Yes.
Everybody made a big deal about this baby oil. Where'd he get it? Got to come from somewhere. And it came from this guy.
Yeah.
And this is the character, the man who sold Diddy thousands of bottles of baby oil.
Got it.
Here we go. Well, I didn't know what it was for. that's the whole character. I didn't know what it was for.
Yeah.
I paid my mortgage.
Yeah, I like that.
And then this one, again, an unspoken hero, a voice, maybe not a hero, but a voice that we haven't heard in something that we've heard many voices about.
Okay.
This character is Hawk Tuah Girl's ex-boyfriend.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's the character. Hawk Tuah Girl's ex-boyfriend.
Yep.
You know, I haven't seen a dime from all that. It was my idea.
That's good. That's funny.
That's the whole thing.
That's funny. I like that.
Those are the two.
That's fun.
They're going away for a long time now.
Yep.
I like doing those. It's one of those things as a comedian, ideas pop into my head, and sometimes they're just not for the stage. And to make it something else would be like, where does it go?
Yeah.
That's what podcasts are for. Podcasts are the creative playground.
Yeah, podcasts are the place where you go, I don't know where that would go.
Yeah.
A burrito that translates languages.
Yep.
Podcasts,
I don't know what I'm doing with
A
that.
Thanksgiving ghoul?
Podcasts are the landfills of artistic mediums.
Oh,
that's pretty
if
good.
Funbearable had a poster
Yeah.
and there was a critic quote.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good quote.
Yeah, the landfill of ideas, Funbearable.
From the side, and it has the thing where it's like the ground is cut out and there's different pieces of trash, and it has all of our little bits and our segments.
Yeah,
and
and
stuff.
I feel like we are buried up to our heads. Just our heads are appearing in that.
Yeah. That's great.
That's fun.
I wanted to tell you guys about a really fun thing that I got to do. I was hired to go film it was called the Stay Fresh Design Summit.
Okay.
And my buddy, I have a buddy named.
And this was for Axe body spray?
That's correct. No, so I have this buddy
We need
named
a new name.
These
Phoenix.
Cobra.
They do have those aggressive names, right?
Yeah.
I use Old Spice deodorant, and they have like Breckenwolf, and like they have like animals.
Oh,
like,
okay.
like a bear, a wolf.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they have a cobra.
But
one.
I know Axe body spray, the
Yeah.
originator of the stink. They were the original stink.
that's their logo.
The original stink.
Yeah.
The original stink.
The OS.
Originators of the stink.
Originators of the stink.
Yes.
Please, the stink founding father, the founding stinkers. Oh wait, no, that's different for you.
Yeah.
Stinkers. Not this.
The founding stinker.
Real quick, got it.
It's Elian Gonzalez.
Ooh,
Smells like
Smells-
complicated freedom?
smells convoluted and scared as a child.
Yeah.
Can we sidebar really quick? Because
Yeah,
I did
side
not
me.
expect to get to body spray.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I feel as where we are generationally,
Okay.
that is an important thing.
Yes.
Right? The body spray thing. Because I feel like I came of age when the body sprays hit the market.
I'm too old.
That's right. You're
Yeah.
like,
But
that's
when
that
you say-
newfangled sound.
When you say body spray, do you mean like a spray deodorant?
Axe body spray.
I just started using spray deodorant recently.
Okay.
It's an Old Spice.
Ooh.
I don't know if this is mine.
Anais?
I don't know. It's paprika. I don't know if
It's paprika.
if this is my fault because I bought the no aluminum version, but it didn't seem to like work like deodorant does. So I've abandoned the spray.
Sure. Yeah,
You know?
the no aluminum kind of thing does get tricky.
It does,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I don't really know.
I can't use body spray because my skin is too old, and I do it, and it just blows a hole right through my skin.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just the pressure.
too
I
much.
saw you
It was-
did it. It's sort of like if you're in zero gravity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you like shoot a fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
That's what it's like. You have gone to spray and you go, well, and you go flying.
Brad's skin, if you haven't touched him, his texture is like a wet tissue.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
it is.
it's too wet but somehow bone dry.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense as a description, but physiologically, my body does not make sense.
Like
No, no.
if you stretched out his skin and you put like even I don't know a golf ball on it, it would just fall through.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Do you know tracing paper?
It's
like
a
that.
sickly gray.
I was the original model for the alien from American Dad.
When my son Finn's teacher says show your work in math homework, he brings you in and he's written it on you. Yeah.
Don't push so hard with that pencil.
So the body spray thing, I do think it's valuable to talk about on this podcast because we're three boy men.
Yes.
Wait, man.
And the spray, I remember when the spray came.
Yeah.
Like it did. It came. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a thing, right? I did use it when it started, but I was like not liberal with it. I was very conservative with the spray because I realized what it was. But I had friends that were like, oh, we're going out tonight? Hang on.
So they're putting it. So in other words,
Like all over their body.
so I'm using Old Spice spray deodorant.
That's a spray deodorant.
Yeah.
So body spray is almost like a cologne.
Body spray is sort of like a cologne.
Like a light cologne, let's
Yeah,
call it.
yeah.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, like Axe and stuff like that. And if you're in the UK, Lynx, Linx.
Wow.
Is it the same thing?
Lynx, sorry.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I think Axe body spray, I was anti-Axe, like as a company, because they were so into bro culture for such a long time.
Yeah.
And then
And
probably...
you said famously, this will never go anywhere.
Probably-
Bro culture, that's going to fade.
Yeah. Unless a podcast really gloms onto it. 8 or so years ago, Axe came out with an ad that was basically like, we want you to be the best version of you, whatever that is. And it was like empowering for nerds. Like it was
That's cool.
amazing.
That's good because
Yeah.
I think historically, like those nerds could use a little Axe body spray.
Yes. Yes.
You know?
I predate body spray. I used
He predates nerds. He
Yes.
predates deodorant.
Wow.
I guess the lifeguard commercials were for me. That's a weird historical marketing reference. I used spray deodorant like in high school, but since then I've been just like, give me the standardist, least scented thing that makes people not smell me, and then I'm fine.
Yeah.
And so I was never.
The commercials for your deodorant were interesting. The one that you use because it's like a guy comes out. He steps out of a crowd,
Yep.
and you realize, wow, he's been there the whole time.
Yep.
And then he's like fade into the background,
Yes.
right? Like stuff like that. Yeah.
Mine was like, hey, you don't want animals that you're hunting to keep your tribe alive to smell you, so use no scent deodorant. And I'm like, all right, thank you, Ugh.
That is fair. Yeah. That is fair. It's an interesting thing because like there's a huge difference between spray deodorant,
Right. Yeah.
which is like I'm using this thing, versus like Axe. I remember like the year after high school, I had Axe body spray, and it would be like, oh, take a shower, and I would use it as a deodorant.
Yeah.
But you would be like pits, and then you do a little bit everywhere.
Yeah, I think at one point they said double pits to chesty, and it was like it was a motocross stunt where you do each armpit and then across your chest, and that's
because that's the only way a man can understand what that is
through
is
motocross.
through motocross.
Yeah.
Yeah. Truly.
This is very strange to me. I had no idea about this.
Oh yeah, and it was a thing, and it became like almost immediately. It went from Axe body spray exists to becoming a signifier of like bro dudes.
Yeah.
That used too much Axe body spray
Right,
because
right,
I do
right.
think there's a huge swath of young men. as they're growing up in that period of time, late teens, early 20s, that just douse themselves in smell.
Right.
And it's too much.
That makes sense.
I was a cologne. I was a cool water guy, but I never wanted to apply
Davidoff.
Yes, I would never want
was
to
a
apply
cool
it to
water
me.
guy.
I'd be like, oh, all right, I'm going to wear this sweatshirt, and I would just put a couple drops across the sweatshirt. And then, then my sweatshirt smelled like cool water. And I'm like, this is better than me applying cologne to myself. And I probably stopped with cologne 2 years into my Walgreens
I don't really
time.
do cologne anymore. Every once in a while, like I have a cologne.
Yeah.
And it's nice.
Yep.
But I just...
Good. I'll tell you mine in a second.
Yeah, I just don't really use it. I went through a period. This is weird. Okay. This is a weird, nerdy thing. My favorite scent is the smell of a fresh haircut.
Sure.
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yep.
I get
but
it.
It's the stuff that goes along with that. It's like a little bit of like the oil from the clippers.
Okay.
A little bit of the Barbicide.
Barbicide, the Clubman Pinot green container powder that they use on your neck or whatever. All that stuff mixed together. That smell. I used to come back from the barber. He was a buddy of mine, Jay, and I would be like, how do I bottle this smell? I love this smell. And I went on like a quest to find, and the closest I came was this particular cologne. And I was given some for Christmas, and I used it for a little while, but then I was just like, I'm not a cologne guy. I'm just not. And it's unfortunate, but that's where I am. But I loved the smell of a fucking new haircut. Isn't that weird?
It's weird.
But gentlemen, go to like a barber, get a haircut,
take a sniff,
and
sniff yourself.
Whiff and waff.
Yeah.
Your quiff. Whiff your quiff.
Yes.
Not queef.
I don't use a lot of cologne. I haven't put it on in a long time. I'd be fine with it for like a date night or whatever. The cologne I have is in a little Iron Man helmet. That's what made me laugh.
That's the least surprising revelation.
It really is, yeah.
In Funbearable history.
Is it a particular...
I guess it's Iron Man cologne.
Smell like Tony Stark?
I don't know.
By the way, now that I think about it...
He probably smells great.
I think that suit has got to stink.
Yeah, the suit stinks, but
I bet the suit stinks.
Hey, we don't know what the inside's like. Do they have rubber?
He's all sweaty, though.
I know.
He gets all sweaty in there. I bet it
venting?
stinks.
Metal depends, but I was gonna say my ex-girlfriend got it for me. It wasn't like I bought it.
Yeah,
she got it for me as a Christmas gift, as kind of a joke.
Sure,
but that because I use it so infrequently.
Yeah. What would you say the scent is?
It's probably like it's very and I would go for this anyway. Mm-hmm. It's extremely mild. Yeah, maybe towards like the Calvin Klein Euphoria cologne, but like milder than that. It's fine. It's like I would call it like generic cologne is almost
sure.
How I would describe it.
I would love to use like tap water as my cologne.
Yeah, I know, me too.
Davidoff tap water instead of cool.
Yes, to match with my person now.
Yeah.
Tepid.
All right,
that's great.
Stay Fresh Design Conference, which was
Fluoride.
which was 2 sidebars ago.
Yeah, so that's what this episode is.
Yeah.
We're doing scattershots.
Yeah.
So
my buddy's name is Tommy Lincoln, and he works with Tell 'em Steve Dave with me. I work on film projects, and he works on a lot of design projects, and he's super talented. Ever since I first saw his work, I was really, really like shocked by the quality and the artistry of it. He does the Funbearable Halloween characters that we've used.
Oh, yeah.
We used them for the Chuck
great.
and Brad shows, and we've used it for our recent live Halloween episode. The witch character, the ghost character, and the pumpkin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are just original designs of his.
That's killer, yeah.
They're so good. It's crazy.
Can he make more of the Halloween designs
absolutely.
for us?
Honestly, what you should check out, and I don't know if you can find it, probably on the Stay Fresh Instagram. He did one year where every day, I don't know if it was 31 of them, but a bunch of days in October, he made Universal Monsters playing an instrument to put together a huge band.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah.
And they're fucking incredible.
Yeah.
His work is awesome. And he said, I'm doing this design conference in Syracuse at Dinosaur Barbecue, which is awesome. And he's like, I want you to come and film it for a weekend. It's called the Stay Fresh Design Summit. And I was like, all right. And like, I really didn't know what to expect from it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm like, it's for designers. We're very used to moderating Comic-Cons. Horror cons make sense to me. Design, it's basically a convention for artists and designers.
How do you feel about rom-coms?
they're long lines, sad people. No, but
there's the
rom-con is
happy
funny.
endings.
Yeah,
happy endings joke.
Rom-com con.
Yeah, rom-com con.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, two of the characters go to rom-com con.
That I was just gonna pitch that. That's very funny.
Yeah.
But,
Well, if you watched Happy Endings, you'd know.
I watched the first season, but I did.
Okay.
And so
No, that's fine.
And so anyway,
Okay.
I went up to Syracuse. I got to my hotel, wicked nice hotel room they got for me for the weekend. And I think it's because they were able to work with the Syracuse Tourism Board. So they must have had a deal with them or whatever.
A job I would not want. Syracuse Tourism Board.
But
We're not Albany and we're not Buffalo. In between,
Yeah.
you will find Syracuse.
So
What's their slogan?
We're the orange? I just know
I don't know
their
anything about
college.
Syracuse. I just know
You were there.
I know. Well, I didn't pick up any historical facts.
Why
Why?
not?
I should have.
Yep.
Should have gone to Syracuse Con.
I should have gone to the museum. No,
Syracon.
So
Syracon.
we had this design conference at Dinosaur Barbecue, and I came in on Friday. It was on Saturday. I stayed till Sunday. I think that's how it went, and it was awesome. It was basically like all these different speakers that were independent artists. One woman was from Patreon to come talk about Patreon and that kind of stuff, and Tommy was one of the main speakers, and he kind of was on stage for some of the people and talking with them. And I mean, I met a dude named Jesse Hernandez, and he goes by Urban Aztec online, and he makes these insanely detailed toys for Sideshow and Mondo. I don't know if I said, I'm sure I showed Brad. I don't know if I sent them to you.
I believe you did, yeah.
The Wolverine and the Deadpool.
Yes, yeah.
And they're it's basically kind of a combination of
Wolverine is a character from Marvel from the X-Men comic.
yes. And
Chuck uses Wolverine toilet paper.
Yes. Anyway, look up Urban Aztec and you'll see it. It's it's a very distinct style. He's not doing traditional. He's not making a Wolverine statue.
Yeah.
It's a very distinct style. He got hired by Disney and Sideshow to do Boba Fett, Darth Vader, and Stormtrooper in that style.
That's cool. Those are all from Star Wars.
They're
film franchise.
And they're fucking outrageous. And he also is now working with Mondo and doing all the Toho characters. He just came out with King Ghidorah, and it's this 13-inch 3-headed thing in his style, which is incredible.
Characters? What's Toho?
Toho is Tokyo. I think it's Tokyo House. I'm not sure unless. No, you know what? It's not Tokyo House. It was believed to be Tokyo House, but it's actually someone's last name. It's a Japanese company. They own Godzilla, and they
so it's Godzilla stuff. Okay,
it's all the Godzilla characters.
Gotcha.
They own everybody. So
yeah.
I don't know. Did you ever see Godzilla -1?
Yes, of course.
What'd you think?
It was great.
So Toho, the American version of Godzilla is the Godzilla and Kong movies.
Yeah.
And the Toho version of Godzilla, they do what seems to me more one-offs. They did Shin Godzilla, they did Godzilla 2000, but they did Godzilla -1, which was amazing.
Oh yeah.
It's incredible.
I mean, it just eked out the amazing Godzilla 90. What was it?
98.
98.
Broderick. I enjoy that one. I enjoy that one as a schlock, as a picture of schlock. Do you enjoy it?
So beautiful. No, it was terrible.
I love it.
And I love Matthew Broderick.
Yeah.
And then
Hank Azaria, right?
Hank Azaria, and then also wasn't Leon the Professional in it?
Yes.
Yes, he was.
Who was? It can't be.
And I think Godzilla was in it.
No, is it? No, the
Baby Godzilla.
the woman who is the lead woman. It can't be who I think it is from Sex and the City. Who is Matthew
His
Broderick.
wife?
Is that right?
Sarah Jessica Parker? No, that's not Sarah Jessica Parker.
I've never seen Godzilla 98, but Chuck has showed me part of it. I don't know, 4,
Yeah.
5, 6, 7 times.
There's a great
Yeah.
part in it. Okay.
Is it the Raptors? Yeah, the baby Godzillas that are just Raptors in Madison Square Garden or something.
Oh yeah, Ray knows this part just as well
Get
as
the
I
fuck
do.
out of here.
You love
I
it.
sat in that movie theater because I saw it in the movie theater. It was
Yeah.
98, right? I sat there and I was just like, do Ferris Bueller, boo! I was so bummed with that. The soundtrack, I had the shit out of that soundtrack.
Oh,
I
my
played
God.
I played it all the time. There was one song we can't listen to anymore. Diddy?
Yeah.
We could listen to it.
Yeah. That's
My
all
favorite
it
thing
says.
is that they took Green Day's.
I sold lube to that guy.
Yeah. Hey, I sold lube to that guy.
You know the Green Day song "Brain Stew"? That's like, damn.
Yeah,
Like,
and then they have the roar.
They added all the Godzilla roars in between. All
I
the
can
chords.
only hear the roar now. When like if
insane.
that song comes up and I'm listening to it, I only hear right. That's all you could do. Yeah.
So, you know what? The woman was Maria Patillo, who I don't really know.
No, not off the top of my
It
head.
doesn't sound super familiar. But I will say, just looking at this cast list, so Hank Azaria is like a legit main character in this movie.
Yeah.
And I don't think he was a main character in a lot of movies. Guess who is third after him? Harry Shearer. Simpsons, like the two main people that do Simpsons voices.
Oh my god, I can't. What did Harry Shearer do in Godzilla '98?
Isn't that weird? It
He
says
was the voice of Godzilla.
Charles Kamen.
The voice of that. I would love that. I would love that.
His name is Charles Kamen.
Okay.
And I will say it says Michael Lerner.
Of the islands?
That's what I was thinking. Oh, there's also Cayman. Isn't that like an lizard?
alligator, yeah.
It's a lizard.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's also what I did to your mother.
So it's funny.
I'm so glad that you laughed, Brad. Thank you.
There's a character actor that his name is Michael Lerner. He doesn't. His name is not familiar to me.
Yeah.
But he played Mayor Ebert.
Okay. Wow.
Anyway,
Was he like, I hate this. This is bad. And then he gets squashed.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's Lady in the Water. Yeah.
Oh my god.
yeah.
Yes.
that's hilarious. I do.
That movie was so bad.
I hate to pivot this much.
I mean, this is Pivot the episode. We're spinning right
This
now.
is Pivot. We're Ross from Friends, moving furniture.
I'd like to say thank you to Narragansett Beer for sponsoring Funbearable. I have a fun fact about Narragansett Beer for you guys.
Narragansett sent in some fun facts, and you're gonna.
They sent in fun facts for me, and
Yeah.
they sent in...
Well, it's interesting because like I just wanted to drink today, so I got some beer
Yes.
and I laid them out for you guys, and then I said, Brad, who is our sponsor? I heard we have a new sponsor.
Yeah.
And we all, it's cold out, so we all wore our hats.
Yeah.
In general, and it happens to be Narragansett Beer.
And it's also uncomfortable because you have a sponsor.
who's going to be very
Very
disappointed.
upset. Should we have that? Sure.
Did you know that Narragansett is New England's oldest beer and will be celebrating its 135th anniversary in the year 2025, which it currently is right now.
Wow. Take that, Sam Adams, you piece of crap. Yeah.
I really didn't know that.
I didn't know that
I didn't
either.
think it'd be that old. At
Is
all.
that true?
I guess it's true.
Now, I mean, it is named after a tribe.
The Narragansett
Yes.
tribe.
The Narragansett tribe, yeah. Maybe that's why it's the oldest?
Yeah, this probably is. That makes sense. I will say, I'm really happy because I love the idea of Narragansett Beer as a Rhode Island thing that is a national brand as well.
Sure, yeah.
Obviously, we all kind of grew up with Jaws and that kind of stuff, so it's fun. Narragansett has a new brewery in Providence that I've gone to a bunch of times. It's
Yeah.
great. My friend Mandy works there, and we had my buddy's birthday there last year. And
Mandy Patinkin is working.
Mandy
Yeah.
Patinkin.
Yeah.
It's
He's struggling.
it's
I'll be
You know,
honest.
great bartender.
Yeah.
Great bartender.
Ever since Homeland ended, he's been on the outs.
Yes, but my buddy Ben's birthday was there a while ago, and I went there for the first time, and I was like, man, I love this place.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Check out the Narragansett Brewery. Very fun place to hang out, have parties, go check stuff out. And we love that Narragansett partnered with us, and they're going to be our new sponsor for a little bit.
It's cool too because it's fun to have a sponsor that is actually like local to us.
Yes.
That's what I mean. That's what I
and
mean.
Narragansett's such an identifiable Rhode Island thing.
Yeah.
And it's great. I love the fact that they are into, and this is going to sound weird, what we're doing.
Yeah.
And because we're into what they're doing. So it's a really fun union.
Yeah, and to close out the sponsorship spot, I would like to say there are some Funbearable and Narragansett collaborations coming up that I think people are going to be pretty excited about. But those are going to be announced in the coming months.
Let's just say if you want to open a bottle, you might need some sort of tool that's long and thin.
It's a Brad's Glasses beer. Brad's Glasses beer opener. That's great.
Thank you to Narragansett, and now we'll get back to what we're doing.
Yeah, sorry about that too.
So check out narragansettbeer.com or at Gansett Beer PVD on Instagram for more information about this delicious, delicious brew. Back to the show. How about this? This is what I want to ask. Are there movies that you know are bad that you love?
Yes.
I mean, are we including movies that are intentionally consumed because they're bad
Like
and
Troll
therefore
2?
good? Yeah, like a Room, Troll 2, that kind of thing.
I'd say, I mean, the answer is yes, but like I would steer clear of those because it's just like so bad it's good. It's more like Godzilla 98. I enjoy watching a bad movie.
Okay, so there's like cheese factor. Maybe we call it something like that. Where like there are movies that I love that are cheesy as hell.
Okay.
But I love them, I think nostalgia based. Like they were movies I saw when I was younger that were important to me then. Like Hackers. The movie Hackers.
Is that not a good movie?
I don't know. You know why? I can't tell you. I'm too close to that.
Yep.
I like it so much because when I was in high school,
Right.
Yeah.
I loved that movie.
Right.
My best friend loved that movie. My best friend, because of that movie, Sean, turned into like a Euro rave boy.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
Yeah, he saw that movie and like that's the movie that changed his life. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's that kind of like he
Still
saw
a
it.
Euro rave boy.
Yeah, no, he did that, and then suddenly his hair was super gelled and spiky. He loved techno,
Yeah.
right? Like this was a whole thing for him. He had the Hackers soundtrack, which I had, but then they also made like 4 more soundtracks that are like inspired by Hackers. And he had all of them to a point where I was like, I can't take this anymore.
Yeah.
We're riding around in his car. I'm like, I can't. If I find out, if I have to hear I am the poison, I am the remedy one more time, I'm going to lose my mind.
Brad, what is yours?
Yeah.
I think the first one that comes to mind is Rocky 4 because
That's a cheese level is high.
Yeah.
Robot Butler.
and it is essentially 6 music videos loosely stitched together where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, this music video, Rocky's driving his car and he's thinking about his friendship with Apollo. And then this one, it's him training. And this one is the fight. And this one, and it's,
This is him eating the spinach and getting strong.
yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
It's not a good movie, but because I was 10 years old the first time I watched it and we had recorded it off a free weekend of HBO or whatever.
Yeah.
So I watched it again and again and again and again.
That's the thing.
I acknowledge it's not a good movie, but it's a comfort movie.
There's a level of this where when we were younger, our options were far, far less.
Yeah,
agreed.
Infinitesimal. Infinitesimal.
Yeah.
Did I say it right? I just had a stroke. We had no other options. It was stuff like that where
Yeah.
it was like, well, these are like, I remember these are the VHS tapes I own. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
that's it. I'm gonna watch these movies. But there's tons of. So I do think there's tons of movies that I really liked a lot and still hold, a soft spot for.
Yeah.
That are, realistically not very good movies.
Is Short Circuit a good movie? Like problematic casting aside,
That was your favorite part.
yes, well, it was.
I think your one note was like, this is 4 3/4 stars, could be 5
Yes.
if they just went darker with the makeup.
I remember when they said, Brad, what do you want to be to grow up? And he said, Indian.
Not that kind though.
Or the robot.
yeah. The
Indian robot.
but like occasionally something like a number 5 is a lot like that. It's in my head, and
Yeah.
I don't think it was a particularly good movie. I'm not sure that's well done. I haven't watched it in years.
I got a couple movies that I could think of for all of us that I think we're gonna be like, man, we definitely like those movies. Which ones are good? Which ones are bad? And it's the Nicolas Cage run of action movies in the
Yeah.
mid-90s.
Con Air.
Sure.
Con Air, Face Off, and The Rock.
Yeah.
Rock number 1.
That's the best one, right?
That's absolutely the best.
I think that's the
Yeah.
best movie in terms of
Yeah.
the storytelling, mechanics, whatever.
And then I think, depending on the day, you could make an argument between the other two on which one's better.
I'd say I'd go number 1, The Rock, number 2, like a distant number 2 for me, Con Air, and then
Con Air rules. Are you kidding me?
A bigger distance to Face Off, which we watched.
I got to be honest
2 or
with
3
you.
years ago.
I'm the other way around on that. I think it's Face Off and then Con Air.
See, here's the problem. I most recently watched Face Off with Chuck, and he kept saying like, "We should do this."
Oh,
and
so
he's
you're
like,
letting that-
he's drawing
Yeah,
dotted
don't-
lines around my face.
Don't let that pepper you. And he always says goodbye to you by running his hand over your face.
And then it's something about a peach. I think he said to me.
Yeah.
I gotta say, real quick sidebar.
He could eat a peach for hours.
Did you ever see the Funny or Die parody of Face Off 2?
I think so.
It was so good. It was like, I believe it was Puff Daddy and like Jet Li, and it was Face Off 2, Rush Hour 4.
That's funny.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no one knows this bit. It's so good.
Yeah.
Anyway, Con Air and Face Off, man, I understand the mechanics of, because honestly, the reason he probably doesn't like Face Off is because of how stupid moving your faces are, and that will stand in front of him for a movie.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
What did we argue about the other day where you came at me wicked hard?
Oh,
you were so
the
mad.
science
At
of,
you or on you?
He came at me.
okay.
This guy,
it didn't make it.
This seriously, like I had you were borderline screaming about this.
It was the science of whatever we had watched.
Oh, the substance.
Yes.
Yeah, because Chuck texted me. Well, let's fill in the viewer listener, because now we're just having like a car conversation. But go ahead.
We watched the movie The Substance.
Which, to be
I
fair,
loved it.
Loved it as well. I think it's a top of the heap for the year for sure.
Absolutely.
I liked it to
Not
a point.
the best of the year, but like and especially for that genre, the best. Yeah.
Excellent.
I liked it to a point. I didn't like it beyond that point. And Chuck was so mad that I have different taste in movie.
That's not how you expressed it.
You just got mad because they used your body for the mold when they built the latex suit at the end of the movie.
That was
The idea, by the
my
way,
joke as well.
expressing it like
and you do have Demi Moore behind you going,
expressing it like you just said, like, oh, I didn't like it. You were like yelling at me about how the science of this body horror movie does not match real world science.
If my voice raised in volume, it was in response to your voice shrieking at me.
Where's the gavel? Where's the gavel? Because there is definitely a courtroom thing happening here.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I was on the Tell 'em Steve Dave Christmas special,
Okay.
and they
Big
said,
fucking whoop, dude.
He goes-
the way you said it, arms crossed. Listener only. I'll let you know. Chuck's got his arms crossed, and he is like perched. I would say perched. And you know, I was on the Christmas special, right? That's
but they tasked me. They said you have to bring a Christmas hot take to the room,
okay.
and we're gonna judge it.
Yeah,
on all
we
these
did
different-
argue about this.
We're gonna judge it,
Or was it a hot dish?
Ooh, I wish. But
Hot dish, I
they
wish.
said we're gonna bring a hot take to the room, and we're gonna judge it on how incendiary is it, all these different things.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right? That's fun.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of us, and the guys that Tell 'em Steve Dave, they love A Christmas Story. They love it. It's like their pinnacle
Sure.
of Christmas things.
Of course.
And I never really got A Christmas Story.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so my hot take was that I think A Christmas Story is not, and of course I exaggerated it. In my real feelings, I'm like, to me, it's a fun nostalgia thing to have on in the background.
Right.
But as a movie, I don't think it's a very good movie. That's how I really feel.
Sure.
But how I
course,
exaggerate
yeah.
to be like, this movie sucks, blah, blah, blah. I said that they came down on an Asian family at the end. This is not about Christmas,
Yeah.
I mean, I said a lot of stuff that I don't actually believe. But I told Brad my take on the phone. And somehow, I think in his little Chicago heart, he felt he was stabbed. And he's like, oh, yeah, fuck yeah. And he came back at me
You
about the
lashed
substance
out.
like
You
crazy.
lashed out.
In the book, like my maternal grandparents are mentioned. Like they're like, oh, the Bean Blossom House.
Oh, wow, yeah, yeah.
the
No,
book.
they aren't.
Yeah, they are.
That's
What?
wonderful.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
is
So,
great.
no, I think Chuck's like, don't you think this? And I was like, well, it's because of this. And it just got more and more contentious where the point is it's a hot take.
Yeah.
And so it's inciting reaction. So I think you did a good job coming up with a hot take.
There you go.
So did you.
But it was one of those things where he's like, yeah, it's just a bunch of sketches. I'm like, well, here's the through line. He's like, yeah, but what does he really want? I'm like, well, he wants the BB like, but then it just got more and more and more.
Yeah.
And
We did argue.
and it was like
boy.
we've had some dumb arguments in our time.
But I think I think ultimately what I was saying to Brad is just that I think that Christmas movies ultimately should be about some sort of togetherness, selflessness, making a sacrifice to make someone else happy, blah, blah, blah. And it feels like Christmas Story is really just a kid wants a gun for Christmas and you're seeing his family around that.
No, I think that movie is it doesn't have that core thing. That movie, because it's based on a book that is a collection of stories about like that life in that time.
Yeah, slice
I
of
think
life.
the movie really does become like a slice of life thing that you're you're using this thing as a through line.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's like hey, this is going to tell the story of Christmas at that time. You know what I mean?
That's what I think too.
Yeah.
I told Chuck he was just mad that his stand-in character Scut Farkas got beat up.
He did say that.
That is fair.
But then Brad started going off on how the science of a body horror movie doesn't match real world science. Therefore,
that is
it's
true.
bad.
Yeah.
And but I don't agree with that final point. Yeah.
Well, it's also like we're watching a movie. But anyway, I think that's one of the reasons he doesn't like Face Off. Con Air could happen, plausibly. Face Off, less so.
No.
Sure.
Is that why?
Yeah, well, there's only a couple sets of boots that were also in the Super Mario Brothers movie.
That's true.
And then
true, yeah.
repurposed in Face Off.
Yeah.
No, I guess like I liked Face Off when I saw it initially in 1997. But then rewatching it, I just my opinion went down. I was like, this hasn't held up as much.
It is very of its time. It's a John Woo movie, and he's doing he is Woo to the max.
Oh yeah, there's doves everywhere,
and that it doesn't age great.
Yeah,
right.
NBD, nothing but doves.
I gotta say, it's funny because I don't know if it doesn't age well. It's funny because it's hard to separate things from their time period sometimes.
Yeah, it's really difficult. Plus, with this and when we saw it and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Like, that's a huge part of this whole thing.
I saw it on my birthday with friends. Like,
Like, I recently saw The Lost Boys for the first time.
Yes.
And that is a movie that I would argue is incredibly of its time.
Yes.
Incredibly of its time.
Yeah.
But I almost feel like that makes the project elevated in terms of fun.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to kind of play with those two things.
These are all things that are amorphous. They move around.
Exactly.
It's impossible to put like finite quantitative like things to feelings and like what comes through in a film and how long it lasts and all that stuff. It is very difficult. I will say this, now that we're talking about like bad movies.
Yep.
I'm glad that you brought this up because I completely forgot. I wanted to talk about this. I saw a movie that is not good. And a lot of people say it's terrible.
Oh, VBW Attack, the senior discount movie.
Oh, no. And it's not Be a Man, the documentary I did. It's all of our stuff sucks. Yeah. Your home films, your home videos.
My OnlyFans.
The cranking of the camera.
You have to. Yeah. It's a.
Thomas
zoetrope.
Edison played one in a theater, and people ran out terrified.
Do both of Brad's feet leave the ground at the same time?
So this Megalopolis.
Oh, I never saw it.
Right. So I saw Megalopolis.
Yep.
A movie that came out a little while ago.
Right.
That was the talk of the internet town.
Right.
I think for a while. Francis Ford Coppola.
Yep.
He financed it like himself. He made this movie. This is a Francis Ford Coppola movie.
Yes.
He owns the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I watched it because everyone talked about how bad it was.
Yeah.
And I've seen clips that look terrible, but I wanted to see the movie to understand this. And I went in fully expecting to partake in the spectacle of a burning building.
Yeah.
Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to watch this horrible thing unfold in front of me.
Like you and Brian Bowden going to see Transformers 2.
I felt the feeling any viewer or listener has pressing play on an episode of Funbearable.
I felt a little similar walking into the Joker sequel.
Yes, yeah. So,
but I thought it was great.
So I did not have that takeaway with Megalopolis, but yes, the movie's not good. It's a mess.
Okay.
And I think it really comes down to way too many ideas in one movie. We don't have to get into the whole thing about it. I don't want to talk about the plot. It's convoluted, but it does say right at the beginning a fable, and I believe that's what this is. Right? There's a metaphor here. It's very obvious what that is. It's kind of hit over the head a lot, but here's the thing. I'm still thinking about it.
I just had this conversation with someone.
This is what I'm saying. I'm still thinking about this movie. Now, I saw this a week ago, maybe a week and a half ago, and the movie's not good, but there are parts where I'm like, okay, in it somewhere
Yep.
is a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are parts of it where I'm like, I don't like this at all. I think this is wild. This belongs in something else. You're absolutely muddying any kind of thing you're trying to say by incorporating this really weird, abstract, bizarre stuff. There are choices in it that are insane. I think it suffers from not having enough of a budget for the green screen to feel believable. It's very obvious when it's
really
green
tough,
screen.
yeah.
And that's not, I look at that, I'm like, that's not his fault. Like, he doesn't have, Disney money for this green screen. It's fascinating. That's what, here, I have a point to this. Megalopolis, watching it, what I found was, I knew I was going to watch it academically. I knew I was going to watch this thing as a thing, not just get into the story and stuff. But I found myself afterwards, I kept thinking about it. I'm still thinking about that movie. I told my wife she has to see it, and so we could talk about it. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. And I said to her, like, I would rather have a huge swing and a miss from someone than have another safe corporate thing.
100%.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
I would rather watch 10 Megalopolises
Yes.
than sit down and watch 2 just
Red ones.
just corporate. Here it is. Here's the movie. Like, that bums me out. It's hollow, cynical, dead. It says nothing. It does nothing. It exists solely for you to look at for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then it's over and you go, yep, and you move on.
Yep.
It is a empty calorie snack.
I do like empty calorie snacks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Splenda. I was just talking about this. I think it might have been Trap. I'm not sure. But I walked out and I'm like, Trap was fun. I don't think it's amazing, but it's 100%. A guy was like, I think this would be cool. And I think this would be cool. And I think this would be a fun story. And an auteur took a thing and said, I want to make this. And it wasn't interfered with. This wasn't pandering to something that is like already popular. That's not what it's about.
Right.
And I was like, I just appreciate that this is being made. It might have been that.
That's an interesting thing.
You did say that about Trap to me.
With,
Off
with M. Night Shyamalan, that is so, M. Night Shyamalan is like a whole thing.
It's
that
a whole
you gotta talk
thing.
about, right?
It's a whole thing.
But again, I will take 10 M. Night Shyamalan movies. I can't even believe I'm saying that. They are, at this point, like self-torture.
Yeah.
To watch an M. Night Shyamalan movie. But it's just how I feel.
He hasn't seen Trap.
It's just how I feel.
He hasn't seen Trap.
I have not seen Trap, and from what I've heard, I made the right choice. You're literally the only person that said anything positive about Trap to me.
I think
just to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're all different
Yeah.
people, baby.
Yeah,
You know
but
what
I had
Brad doesn't like tortellini. We got to live with that.
But I
Which one is tortellini?
kind of feel the same way about
The short guy.
just to stretch it a little bit more to something I don't like.
Yeah.
I didn't like In a Violent Nature.
Okay.
But again, I was like, this is for sure filmmakers who said, here's our concept. We're going to take whatever a little amount of money that we get to make our original thing.
Yeah.
And we're just going to do it to the best of our abilities. And I don't really care if it appeals to me in general. I just want more of that.
Yeah. It's that's what I mean. It's like just at least there's something new happening there, and they're trying to do something, because when they take that big swing, sometimes it's a miss, and you get a Megalopolis, or you get whatever.
Yeah.
But sometimes they take that big swing, and you get, no offense, Brad, substance. You get the substance.
Yeah.
That is a huge swing.
I'll say-
that movie's a fucking wild swing.
I will say, as time has passed, I think I've appreciated substance more.
Okay.
But probably not to the level where you guys are at.
That's fine. That's totally fine.
I think you got to be a kind of a specific type of student of film to really love that final 25 minutes of that
Yes,
movie.
and I'm not.
You know what I mean? I think that,
Yeah.
I think it's a real place where it's like the movie is a parable, I would say.
Yeah.
And I think they make it really obvious and do a great job of mirroring things to make it obvious. but then they say we're in this place, let's play with it like lunatics.
Yeah.
And it's a really fun place to be. To me, the same people that would like that are the people that loved Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I did.
I think, the big thing that struck me, especially towards that end part, Terry Gilliam. Movies from Terry Gilliam, like if you've seen Brazil and really enjoyed it, that's where you get that last 25 minutes. Right?
I haven't.
Exactly.
I can't watch it because it makes me think of Welbert too much.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
To your point of thinking about movies and that changing it, when I saw Prometheus, I was like confused. I think we saw it together. And I was like, because it was Ridley Scott.
Brad's famously anti-Metheus.
It was basically, if you look back, it's Ridley Scott being impressed, being like, don't you dare think this is an alien movie. Oh, you better not think that this is going to be an alien movie. Don't even pretend to your friend that it's an alien movie. And then it's an alien movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, did you see it?
No.
The story is essentially like the gods that created humans and then created aliens to wipe out the humans.
Yeah.
And when I saw it, I was like, this is so weird. Like, what is the tone of this? And I was really kind of, I walked out being like, I didn't like that really. Not I hated it. I just didn't like it. And then for weeks I was thinking about it. And I'm like, there's no way I didn't like that movie. Like I think about it all the time.
I think that's especially with Megalopolis, this like crazy idea. To put it as succinctly as possible, sorry. It is a fable of if the Roman Empire had not fallen.
Right.
Interesting.
And America was the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
And it is, it's now.
Right.
It's current day, but we're under like a Roman rule kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is the idea of like the fall of an empire.
That's
and
cool.
People talk about America as a falling empire a lot. So to apply it to like the end of Rome is interesting.
Yeah.
And I think had it been done with more
resources,
what's the word I'm looking for?
Subtlety.
Holding back more. No, not subtlety. Holding.
Restraint.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry. Damn. Restraint.
that's why I'm here. But Ray needs a little help.
Yeah, but if it had been done with more restraint and it didn't have like the George Lucasism of it of no one to say you know what I mean, like that, right? It's very similar.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Both shot mostly with like green screen sound stages and stuff like that. You know? So it feels like Coppola was like,
Adam Driver.
It's my turn. I earned this.
Yeah.
Right. I want to sit in the chair for the entire time I film this film.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's his money. Like,
Yeah.
Sure.
No, I gotta say, like, I am like just like original ideas. Yes.
Yes.
It does. It's almost like you feel like before, like let's say 25 years ago or 20 years ago.
Yeah.
When you were like, I like this, I didn't like this, I like this, I didn't like this. You're kind of like, man, I wish we were back at those times when it was just like, oh, you didn't like a thing, but it was an original idea by a person, and and someone else. Did, by the way,
there's a
someone
bunch
else
of
did
new
like it.
ideas to come. Yeah,
exactly.
But that's my takeaway with Megalopolis of just I'm happy that this weird mess exists, and it's so sad that it is an absolute outlier in terms of like what happens today, right? The only reason that movie does exist is because Francis Ford Coppola made it happen outside of everything, right?
Yeah.
It would never happen again. And I think about that idea and I think of like the names that are those big names now, right? Like the kind of like in granite like filmmakers, right? Like Spielberg, Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese, like
Tarantino's up there now.
Tarantino for sure. Oh, Tarantino for sure. But like that pantheon kind of idea, right? I think Tarantino came after that established. What we're talking about really is the 70s revolution of film, right? Now I'm turning into Quentin Tarantino doing cinema speculation.
All right.
I'll take my socks off.
It is a fantastic book, by the way. I read the book. It's fucking killer.
Yeah.
And it's all about the 70s revolution of film.
Yeah.
And you have these guys all knowing each other, all working together, doing all that stuff. And then a little while after that, you get like Sam Raimi and the Coen brothers like living together and making movies and stuff like that. My point is that like all of that came from a time where every movie was a fucking swing.
Yeah.
Every movie was a swing, and it's either going to hit or it's going to miss. And then the 80s, we get the rise of more palatable commercialized film, right? Like now we're into that territory where we're going to get the 80s like blockbusters and the cheap knockoffs and things like that. The 90s, we see indie still being respected, still being plucked from. Tarantino owes his career to that. Kevin Smith owes his career to that. Like so many people. Coen Brothers, they were 80s.
Are they?
Yeah. A little bit earlier. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, like late 80s.
I think of Fargo, I guess, as the huge
Fargo's
thing that
90s, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I kind of think of that as the huge thing that changed things for them, maybe.
No, their big thing was it was actually was it Raising Arizona was like the big hit?
Yeah, I think so. If that wasn't one, that was two.
Yeah, yeah. But so like I think about that and where we are now. And now it feels like, as far as the machine is concerned, you'll get like an independent voice or like a new filmmaker who makes something respectable, usually in a genre, right? Like horror, sometimes sci-fi, things like that. And then most of the time it's a lottery system. They'll get plucked,
of course,
by a huge studio to essentially be a stand-in director for a thing that's already been decided.
I agree.
Like, oh, you're doing this now. You're doing the guy that was the Jurassic World director,
Colin Trevorrow.
Yeah, gets plucked from this other thing.
Yeah,
it happens with Marvel movies a lot, and it bums me out because I'm like, I think about it, and it's like we're losing the voices that take the swing, and what we're getting is more of the tradesman directors, the guys that like, hey, I will deliver this film that you have a vision for. On time and on budget, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's tough. You hope that they do something that does speak within their voice. I think Ryan Coogler with Black Panther did a pretty good job of being like, well, this is actually going to be a movie made by an auteur who has like a real vision for it.
Yeah.
But it still is Marvelized. It's Marvelized.
Oh, and it still has scenes where you're just like, ay. Talk about bad CGI. Like that fight scene towards the end, that's like terrible.
I know. But
it feels like that kind of like real voice stuff coming through is not a planned thing. It's not intentional. It's in spite of the machine. Yeah.
I like to think that the people. It's so difficult because like it's the people that are writing the checks. That's the issue. It's the business side of the industry.
I said it in a previous episode we did, maybe the one that came out right after this, before this one. It's when the money guys got into the room to make the creative decisions, it was over. The game's over.
It's tough because I think that you think of someone like Kevin Feige, and you see movies that came out that were huge box office, like crazy budgets, but ended up being really thoughtfully created. Like I think that Avengers Endgame is like that. I think Civil War is like that. I think there are a bunch of movies in the Marvel universe that are like that. And I think that people like Kevin Feige at the top are hoping for those. But then you have the corporate side of it being like, well, it's got to have this, and you got to do this, and you got to have this, you got to have this. And basically you need a director like a Christopher Nolan to come into the world of Batman and be like, all right, well, I am going to have Joker, and I am going to have a new vehicle, and I am going to have a new buddy, and I am going to have a new enemy, and I'm going to jump those hurdles and still make a great thing. But I think it's just insanely difficult to navigate that system.
Sure. Well, it's difficult too because the thing that you're talking about there in those cases, those are major IP existing things.
Yeah.
I mean, like stuff that is outside of franchise and IP. Because that stuff's like just drying up in general.
Well, that's what I mean. That's exactly.
It's the red letter media. What our next thing? You know.
I think it's basically. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. It's almost like you break through by making a small thing, and maybe you make a small thing, and then you make a bigger small thing. Then a huge studio goes, now make Jurassic Park 8.
Yeah.
And you go, all right, man. If I make Jurassic Park 8. I got this crazy paycheck. It puts me on the map with this resume thing. I do this.
And then you make that so you can go and
So
make
you can
these
go
other
back.
things.
Edgar Wright making Baby Driver.
Right.
Even though he didn't make Ant-Man.
Yeah.
He didn't make Ant-Man. But like, and then you're like, if this does well enough and this goes well enough, then I get to go back to doing the stuff I want to do, but in the giant sphere.
And what often happens though is like the person goes in fully with that intention, and it doesn't happen.
Exactly.
And basically, because we're getting close to the end here, that's my signal. I've given you the full signal of the hour.
I want to finish the Design Summit thing.
Oh yes, I'm so sorry.
No.
We'll finish it in this episode for sure. Cut all of this, Gregory.
Yes. Cut the last 25 minutes, Craig.
I think this all fits into my stuff. Yeah.
No, so my general thing here, the thesis statement of this whole like megalopolis weirdness, is I am all for, if we're voting for this,
keep it
right?
weird.
Take the swings. I just want more swings like that.
Me too.
Because as messed up as the movie is, as much as Twitter was saying how bad it was, I watched it and I have thought about that movie more than I have thought about a lot of films I've seen recently. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's crazy. At least there's something there. At least there's something to hold on to and think about.
Yeah.
And I'm all for that. And I worry that we're losing that. I really do.
I hear you.
I'm excited for Megalopolis 2, Minions in Megalopolis.
Minionopolis. Oh no.
Oh my gosh, and you have to stand next to the screen, but you have to speak Minionese up at the screen.
Can I be honest with you? Take that swing.
Tiny
Throw
swing.
a minion in it. No,
No.
don't do that because that's a sign of the end time.
Yes, it sure is.
Yeah. Did you know that in the Bible, the four horsemen of the apocalypse they're
minions?
minions?
Oh, that makes a lot more sense.
tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Book of Revelation, tough one to understand.
I never saw
Well, it's all
Despicable
like
Me. Oh no,
Yes.
I saw Despicable Me. I didn't see any of the other ones.
Yeah.
I have a 10-year-old, so I have seen all of them.
Does he like the Minions?
He likes the movies. I don't know if he's like
He hates the Minions.
the Minions. I fuck with the Minions.
Yeah.
I like them. I don't know. I really don't know where he stands.
I like the Minions, but only in Facebook memes.
Yeah, only when they're espousing,
My
Racial-
political beliefs.
Yeah.
So the Design Summit.
Yes.
Yes.
And I guess I'm going to skip over my Sean Connery thing I was going to say about The Rock. I just watched.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just watched a 20-minute thing about how it's James Bond.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
But like, I don't know if Michael Bay wrote it. He definitely directed it.
Yeah.
It's like perfectly aligns with the James Bond timeline in terms of between two movies, him getting captured and getting out.
That's great,
And being
yeah.
in a specific place.
Yeah.
And there's a line in one of the James Bond movies where this guy I think it's the guy that like gives him gadgets or whatever says
Q?
something like, it's not that guy. It's like a different guy that's helping that guy. I don't know. I don't know who it is. So he says something. He's like, well, if you want to hide something, you hide it in Kansas or something like that. And that's where Sean Connery hides the microfilm that gets him arrested in The Rock.
In Kansas.
That Nicolas Cage finds at the end.
That's fun.
It's funny because it's like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
He's this. But then you watch this breakdown of all the stuff and you're like, this was intentional.
Yeah.
It's got to be intentional. And it was great.
That reminds me of it was like early internet,
Yep.
film theories and stuff like that. Like the stuff like when people are like Calvin and Hobbes, Fight Club is Calvin and Hobbes grown up.
Right.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Take or leave whatever you want. There was a James Bond one that I really liked, which was, I think it was when Daniel Craig was going to be the new James Bond.
Yes.
Yeah.
And somebody had posted on like Reddit or wherever this idea of a new James Bond movie where you have like Sean Connery, obviously not now,
Right.
Yeah.
earlier, come back as the villain of the piece.
Yeah.
Because Daniel Craig being James Bond goes and, when he finally meets up with him, it's revealed Sean Connery's like, yeah, I was James Bond. I was, and so was this guy and this guy, and you see all of the actors that have played James Bond, and they're like, just like the number is an assignment, the 007, the name James Bond.
Yep.
When you become that guy, that's your name now, and and Sean Connery's like, fuck that. They're just using you.
Yeah.
You're just another literal number.
Yeah.
And he's like, so don't do that. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
of
I was
course.
like, that's a great idea. What a fun way to take the meta of there being multiple actors.
Right.
Of course.
And using that. I thought it was really cool
I love
idea.
that. I love that. So the design summit.
Yes.
So basically, I set it up, and I did like kind of what I would expect, which is like a 3-camera shoot, a wide on the stage because there's like speakers and they're talking to this audience of designers, as well as a freestanding camera that I got, a float is what I would call it, where I kind of get audience shots and some close-ups on stage and stuff like
And that was in root beer?
Yeah, that's right. And I like I said, I met my new buddy Jesse Hernandez, Urban Aztec, and it was one of those things where like you meet a new person and you're like, oh, this guy's my new friend, and it was immediately like that.
Oh, Brad's jealous. Brad's jealous. Oh, jealous.
I can make a Deadpool. Don't look at that one.
Yeah.
I can design also. I could be Aztec. No, no.
Please, I could be urban.
No.
So we had
Tech.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. So we went out the night before the conference. It was a bunch of us, and we went to like a place to get like poutine and stuff like that. And like everyone there was really
You specifically set out to go to a poutine?
It was they had a lot of chicken fingers and French fry types. So poutine was
and this was an elementary school lunchroom?
no, that's a thing. Anyway, so what's a thing in New York that I'm like bookmarking?
The Big Apple.
Tons of places that just do gnocchi. All different
Really?
types
Wow.
of gnocchi, and they serve it in the Chinese food takeout containers. So this one will be like a vodka gnocchi with all mozzarella throughout it and pieces of chicken. This one will be this one. This will be this one. And I'm like me and Natalie are just like flipping out and bookmarking all of them. We're gonna go to one really soon. But yeah, there's a lot of places that are like specialty places that are like.
Yeah.
We make super fucking high quality chicken fingers or French fries, and they just do variations.
Chicken finger gnocchi.
Yeah. So we went out and we like met a bunch of people and we hung out, and everybody in the area kind of knew about the design conference. Next day we went to Dinosaur Barbecue, which was delicious. We had a huge buffet afterwards, and it was like awesome. But
Their son is in a great band.
yeah. And so all the designers were super nice. They all knew each other. A bunch of people were kind of like students from the area that were design students. A lot of people worked with Tommy. And all day long, it was just like speaker after speaker, kind of going through different things in different parts of their career. One of them was Retro A Go-Go, which
Yes.
sponsored the Chuck and Brad podcast. They made the giant Halloween masks that were like the old school Ben Cooper masks, but
Oh,
they're
cool.
like 3 foot tall.
Yeah.
And so I met the couple that started it, and they told on stage the entire story of like starting the company from scratch and how
Oh,
they went
yeah,
from
yeah.
having regular jobs to making this their full-time job. And everything was like extremely inspiring. Obviously, it's people that are really following their dreams, but the community aspect of it was so cool. It seemed like everyone around there was so into the idea of doing this design summit. All the students, different people that just came because they're interested in design. All the actual designers, everyone's hanging out. We went out afterwards, a bunch of us, to a barcade, and then after that, me and Jesse Hernandez went to a bar and just hung out until 3 a.m. And we just like talked about life and his experience, my experience, all this stuff, being creatives.
And a barcade, if you're wondering what that is a cool kind of hybrid of an arcade and a like a dog park.
Yeah.
And
I was gonna say barcade is a sports drink for dogs.
Bark. But
do the cade.
Yeah.
great, awesome time.
Yeah.
And I bring this up for a specific reason because like I was really, I told Tommy like I appreciated him having me there, and we got a lot of great stuff, and everyone was super nice. It was great to meet everybody. It was great to meet Jesse. He's the coolest guy. And then soon after, I started talking to the group PVD Horror, and I have talked to them a little bit. They're around Rhode Island, and they do a lot of horror related events and stuff like that. And
They're not affiliated with BVD Horror, which
Yeah.
is an underwear company, and
Yikes.
It's actually a blog, and it's just memes of BVD horror. Brad's one of their main contributors. But
You're in the yellow section, right?
and I've
On a good day.
I've known them a little bit for like a couple years. Like we've been on their podcast via Zoom like a couple years ago, and I've seen a bunch of their events, and it just hasn't lined up. I haven't been in Rhode Island while they're doing them. And one weekend, I was like, oh, they have a few events this weekend, and I'm going to be here. So I went to Buttonwood's Brewery in Providence on a Friday night with my buddy Jordan, and they did a double feature of Trick or Treat and Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. And they had a great crowd there. Buttonwoods was awesome. The owner was there. He was super nice. They had a kitchen. The food was great. They had a designer that made flyers for this, and he had all his other flyers for all the shows that he's done before for them doing like live screenings. And then the next day they also had like a PVD horror like makers market that Brad and I went to, of all people, kind of like selling vintage goods or stuff they made, tons of different booths.
And that's where you found PVC horror.
And
they do a lot of pipe stuff.
And I met the guys. They were super nice. Follow them.
They're plumbers.
It's PVD horror on everything. And they were super nice. But I was blown away in both cases by the community around the design conference and the community around the PVD horror events.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, these are so cool. And what's interesting is like all of us here have been performers for a long time. I was in the band for 15 years and then started doing the weird comedy shows that we do. You've been doing improv for 1,000,000 years.
Yep.
You've been doing stand-up for, probably, 15 years or so?
A little under 15.
Yeah, right around.
Yeah.
We've, like, our most of our adult lives, we've all been performers. And it's I think it's a really positive thing. We do have community with other performers. But there is something different about these events that are a little bit more just about everyone being there as opposed to the focus being on a person or a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I really love that community. I think I had that. I mean, honestly, we have a really good community in Rhode Island with the comedy people. There's a lot of great comedy people in the comedy scene that are awesome that we've all been friends with for years.
You know what I really miss? The community that I had with the Juggalos.
Well, you know what?
My Juggalo community.
Family.
Let me tell you. Well, actually, I shouldn't date the episode, but Jimmy the hair guy's a Juggalo. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. I miss my time. I really do.
But
I miss my. I had to stop though. I was breaking out with the makeup.
Yeah,
the makeup was making me break out so much.
But
and the weird drugs in the tent.
But we have a great scene with the Rhode Island comedy scene. I've had a lot of fun with the Rhode Island music scene over the years from being in the senior discount. But it really made me feel like, man, like
Brad's reenacting scene.
I want to start some kind of community thing in New York.
Oh, okay.
And I love the idea of not everything is about come see me on stage, because that's like a different thing. And so I think I'm talking to my buddy Brian Rupert, and I'm thinking of trying to start some sort of Staten Island film collaborative. And it's interesting because like this movie came out this year called Terrifier 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I guess each Terrifier movie was like low budget, and then they slowly increased. But I guess Terrifier 3 got a pretty decent budget, like $2 million or $3 million. And I guess they like murdered at the box office.
No pun intended.
Oh, that pun was absolutely intended.
And but they're all in Staten Island.
Yeah.
The Impractical Jokers are all in Staten Island.
Yeah.
And also like just if you think about the idea of the affordability of
Gateway to New York City.
Yeah.
If you think about the idea of the fact that there's so much industry in Manhattan, what happens is people who can't afford to live in the city will live outside of it. So they'll live in Hoboken, they'll live in Staten Island, they'll live in parts of Queens or Brooklyn or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about starting some sort of film club there, mainly for people who are filmmakers, but then to also have like screenings where I'm like, well, what if we do a screening of this new horror movie and beforehand we show a horror short that we made locally with all these filmmakers?
Yeah.
Or what if we do this?
Are you worried about the Staten Island community kind of pushing the types of movies that you'll show?
Like what?
Like, I could see you putting a lot of time and effort into this, and then a year from now, you're like, it turned into a marinara fest, and now I don't do it. Now we
would
don't
love
do it
that.
anymore. Marinara Fest. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You get your lanyard and you get breadsticks so you can just dip and try and dip and try.
That sounds amazing.
I would
It does sound
absolutely love
amazing.
that. Yeah.
We did go to the Poutine Indulgence Festival.
No,
Yes.
I know about that. And it doesn't, no.
Yes.
No. You should be on a list for going to something like that.
Remember Brad at a pro union?
I love this. I just wish there were more varieties of it. It's disgusting.
But yeah, so I'm thinking about doing it because I do think, especially film is a little bit weird. And we've all worked in our own film projects and different things. And a lot of filmmakers kind of start out super solo and just grab the people that are close to them.
Right.
And it'd be fun to be part of some kind of community that you
Yeah.
could be like, oh, we're doing this. The RIFC in Rhode Island is a thing that exists, and I've gone to a bunch of their meetups, and I
The
really
Rhode
like
Island
it.
Fuck Club is what that is. Yeah.
I wish, but
You went to a few of those meetups.
but
That turned into a real marinara fest.
But I really want to do that, and I would love to start doing screenings. And I was
Yeah.
talking to one of the guys from PBD Horror, and I was like, "There's this great Alamo Draft House in Staten Island, right near my house, that was designed by the Wu-Tang Clan. They worked with them, the RZA, and
Did you say the Rizzler?
the RZA."
I know. I was just kidding.
Oh yeah, and he's like, "Dude," he's like, "I know the guy that's like in charge of all that, the East Coast Alamos," and I'm like, "If we could get that as our meetup spot for
Well,
like
of course,
monthly
yeah,
meetups,
sure.
and then do screenings there with stuff like that," I'm like, "Fuck yeah!" So the PVD Horror guys and Tommy Lincoln with Stay Fresh and his excellent design company, they really made me feel like, man, I'm like, I want to kind of cultivate more community in all these different things that we do. And the truth is, I mean, we are kind of like, we do have a decent amount of community, not
Yeah.
just with like, we have the Rhode Island comedy stuff. You have the improv stuff. I have a lot of community around, tell them Steve Dave in Jersey and all that kind of, that's a lot of people. And plus the New York comedy scene with me and, you know, all the people I work with over there.
I wouldn't.
But
I also feel kind of insulted that you're just like, you know, you have the Rhode Island comedy scene too.
Yeah, we have the Rhode Island-
I have other comedy scenes as well.
I have like I'm just saying, like, in other words, it's like we all have our own
Yes,
versions
I
of
know, I know,
different
I know, I know.
things.
I just,
Yeah.
But they
Yeah,
they-
the difference though is like,
but they ebb and
I'm in that community because I do stand up comedy. You know what I mean?
But there's an ebb and flow to it where it's like the music scene, in other words.
Yeah.
Like I love all those people, and I do see them occasionally.
Sure.
And they've gone on to do different things. We're talking to the Obscurest Vinyl guy, who was originally from that. But those scenes ebb and flow.
Yeah.
And you're part of this, and then you're not. And then you talk to these people, and then you don't talk to them for a couple of years. And that, you know, it's difficult.
Yeah.
And I would like to kind of, I guess, more purposely push that into being a thing.
Sure,
As
sure.
opposed to just being
Yeah.
a passive person. And
Yeah,
being
no,
like,
of course,
I
of
pass
course.
through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like I lost a lot of community when I left on my adult Rumspringa. Nothing?
Yeah. No, I get it.
It's a stretch.
I get it.
It was a lot
Oh
to
no,
get there.
I'm with it. I'm yes-anding it. I
Yeah.
was ready to go.
I thought you were gonna have more to it.
I was going to go further.
I
with
didn't,
it,
I
yeah.
didn't have any. And you know,
Brad on a Rumspringa is
I thought-
just
Yeah.
it's like what a quiet day.
yeah.
I thought
You know what I mean?
I thought that was a hypothesis statement, and then we were going to get
Yeah,
into the
yeah.
story.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it's all right.
I was like, and then I didn't go back, and I'm like, oh, I tasted hot chocolate, and I was like, I can't go back.
Oh, I immediately pictured a very gruff black woman when you said that. You know,
Yeah, her name
but
was Hot
I
Chocolate.
feel like that would be in the film that I'm making in my mind, which I will screen at the
There you go.
Marinara Fest.
Yes.
I'm happy to do so.
Yeah.
A couple of scenes really make that count. I can see you like going out and you do end up in a relationship with a real gruff
Yeah.
woman.
That's one of Chuck's comedy like
I think that
aspirations.
He's
Yeah.
gonna end up with someone so mean. We know it.
Yeah.
We just know it.
Yeah.
Mean? You think mean?
I
Yeah.
think wicked mean.
Yeah, I think you want that.
No. I'm just going to
No?
be grateful for anyone to pay any kind of attention to me.
So you're gonna get slapped to be like, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just quietly go back to doing my thing. You know, I'll have a wood shed of some sort. I'm terrible with wood, but I'll have time to learn.
Oh man.
She gets the inside of the house.
Uh-huh.
I get my wood shed.
Jesus.
There's more than one room that I'm not allowed to sit in.
And there's that one room where you have a very specific chair you sit in.
Yeah.
In the corner.
But
right
it's,
by
it's,
the bed, but not in the bed.
Yeah, it's only when she invites me in.
Yeah.
It's
But you still have to make breakfast in the morning.
yeah,
which is
Insane.
insane.
It's like, oh god,
You have to get up early. Like your alarm goes off, and she makes you sleep in another room, so
Yep.
she's not disturbed by that alarm
Yep.
going off. So you can wake up early and make breakfast for her and whoever she just slept.
Yeah.
with. It's insane.
Yeah, I have
What's
to
your
check for
apron
food
say?
allergies.
What's your apron say? I bet it's cute. I bet it's fun.
Oh no, it's not. It's bless this meth. Bless this
meth.
Yeah, bless this meth. Bless this mess, but it's got an arrow pointing to my crotch.
I actually love that apron. I really do.
Yeah.
There's a cutout for it.
Yeah. It's a glory apron.
There's a flap.
Yeah.
But yes.
It looks like a pocket, but it's Velcro.
Yes.
And so you pull that, and then you're
Yes.
like, oh, all right.
yeah.
Yes.
This mess.
Yeah, like red long johns in a cartoon.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
with two big buttons. Are we on a slow elevator to hell? I wonder about that because now the the fruit flies from that stupid can of soda that's been opened.
It smells
Yeah.
like brimstone in here.
Yeah.
I want to make it clear too. I don't know if I'm going to start this thing. I just have been kicking it around a lot, and I think it would be really fun. And I know there's a lot of really creative filmmakers doing real projects around me there.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about it. I don't know how much work it's going to be. I really want to sit down and figure this out.
It's really tricky. I get where you're going, and I understand the motivation, and I like it. And I wonder about that idea of like building community. It's almost like a chicken or the egg situation. It's like, let's make a community around this thing. Does that come before the community is already unorganized but exists, or is it the other way? Right? Does it just sort of become a thing like everybody's like, we spend all this time and do this thing. Why don't we just call it something? Put a name to it.
What's interesting is like something like stand-up comedy or playing in a band. Because of the live element of performance, you're forced to deal with each other and see each other often, and it creates the community.
Right.
But with something like, let's say, writing a book or making a film,
Yeah.
I mean, you meet people on the set, but you don't have the same, we're meeting all the time because we're performing.
Yeah.
And so when you have a non-performative creative endeavor, I think you have to take steps to make the community happen.
Right.
Yeah.
A little bit more
Yeah.
when there's performative endeavors.
What's your plan for dealing with creeps? Because they'll come.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they'll come.
Well, I'm the king, first of all.
Oh, that is true. I said that, and then I realized, but the creeps making the club.
Yeah. There's an asterisk on the creep policy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I think I'm going to talk to Rupert about it. I'm going to talk to a couple other people about it that I know and see what we think. But
That's fun.
I'm going to look into it. I think it'd be cool.
And I mean, like you can talk to our buddy Anthony in the Rhode Island.
I know.
And get, hey, what do you wish you knew when you had started this,
Sure.
and things like that.
Yeah,
So,
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about
Yeah.
it. I think it'd be fun.
I think
I
it'd be
dig
great.
it.
I just love the community around this creative stuff. I think it's just really, really inspiring. And it's great when you have when you're just making stuff. But I think when you see other people making great stuff, just little bits of it, you'll be like, oh man, I could do something like this, or we could hit this level of quality.
Right,
Or we
right.
could do this. And it's just inspiring to have those people kind of side by side.
I get it, and I understand because like I feel a real sense of community where I found my people, and I feel like I want you to feel that too, and I want you to feel that, and I've invited you guys to join 8chan with me, and you just haven't done it.
Yeah, I'm holding out for an invite to 12chan.
We only do doubles, so it's 4chan, then 8chan,
16chan,
and we're gonna do
then.
16chan.
Yeah, well, maybe that's-
which Chuck is very excited about.
Chuck said he'd be more excited if it were 14chan. That's not right.
And when I told him about 8chan, he said, "Well, that's a big family of Asian people."
That's enough.
Yeah, 8chan is enough chan.
8chan, was that Rumble in the Bronx, or was it?
We're getting to a place. I think we've
done.
done too much casting.
Folks, thank you all so much for tuning in. If you have ideas or inspiration for Chuck's community endeavors, let us know. Send us an email, funbearablepod@gmail.com, or find us on socials @funbearablepod. Always happy to hear from you, whether it's about something we talked about today or something you'd like us to talk about in a future episode. Happy to hear from you. Feeling good. For Ray Harrington and Chuck Staten, I'm Brad Rohr saying thank you so much, and we're sorry for being Funbearable.
I'm feeling pretty good too. Yeah.
Me too.
You feeling good?
I'm all right.
Yeah.
I'm hungry is what I am.
Oh,
I get some peanuts.
I have
Yeah, I
a
saw
mint.
I also have a protein
Also,
bar.
why are
I'll explain.
peanuts
Also-
on? Why are wallet on peanut?
Well, no. All right. So
And also turned so you can definitely get
yeah,
the
Chuck was like, "Oh, I'm going to be sponsored by Walmart honey
Walmart
roasted
brand?
peanuts." Yeah, Walmart, Walmart Popeye. I took the lid to eat some peanuts, and
When
so
he took the lid, I
Fruit
was like,
flies.
"This idiot! There's fruit flies in here," and I put my wallet on top
I
of it.
realized it,
Got
and then
it.
I'm like, "Oh, let me eat the rest of the peanuts and get it back
Okay.
on there." Then I put the wallet back on top of it to show that I acknowledge he was correct.
Now that
We got to the bottom of it.
Yeah,
is a postscript.
he was correct about one thing, one time.
Oh, I broke the Sharpie just now.
We're never going to be able to record here again.